Yesterday in Kiev, there was a kind of a mini economic forum where Volodymyr Zelensky invited the American Chamber of Commerce. Here's the way that Volodymyr Zelensky is characterizing this.
Я дякую всім компаніям і підприємцям, які підтримують український захист, які підтримують українську стійкість. Ми сьогодні говорили про те, що важливо, коли компанії виходять з російського ринку і працюють саме тут, в Україні. Ми також будуємо нову мережу співпраці з Америкою та багатьма іншими країнами на основі спільних можливостей у розвитку промисловості, технологічних секторів.
You know, I just have a hard time understanding. He's talking about this is just some ordinary country that's looking for foreign direct investment, and he wants to hold these forums and invite heads of all these different companies in, et cetera. But they're at war, and everything is going against them. So I don't even understand the logic about having all these people. And you see this here, and this reminds me of something Gary shows on our channel a lot, going back to December of 2023. That everybody's all about bringing in that. Of course, this one right here was the defense contractors. And Gary, you had something to add to that conversation.
Yeah, just a programming note. Unlike in 2023, where they're able to gather everybody together for a nice selfie, they tried that at this forum, but they couldn't fit everybody into the picture. They tried the selfie. They ditched the idea. They said, "No, can't do it. Too many people," and they just went for the table picture. So I just wanted to make that programming note.
That's just so Patrik, just help me out to understand here. And actually, before you say something, Gary, throw that other head full screen up because this is showing you the one that shows the companies that were involved in this, about that huge circle there. At the time of war. I mean, we're talking about, this is not just defense contractors here. I mean, you've got McDonald's, you got Coca-Cola, Mastercard, all kinds of people here. And I've just got to ask, Zelensky in that quote, I don't know if everybody could read all the text in there, but he said because of all the companies that have abandoned the Russian market, and you just spoke about how many are flooding in from elsewhere in the world, but he says, yeah, flood into here. But is there a path for economic opportunity for all of these countries when their country, when Ukraine is losing the war and is likely to lose it all? How does it make sense for this for me?
Yes, this shows the loss of reality of the Western elites. But from the perspective of the Western elites, there are good reasons to continue the war. First of all, geopolitical questions, to cut up Russia from the Black Sea, to make the Black Sea a Mare Nostrum of NATO, and to bring Putin under pressure, probably to provoke a regime change in Russia. And economically, the Western companies invested so much, for example, in the black soil, and they want to get their investments back. They want to get their money back, and they are trying and trying and trying. Hopefully, they will succeed to fight more and more. And you have to see Monsanto on one hand, and a lot of companies who are invested in consumers products and all that. And on the other hand, the military sector, both, it's owned by financial companies. And these companies are gaining money, are making profits in peace times and in war times. It does no matter. Capitalism must function. The profits must go on. And it does no matter if you make your dollar in investing in black soil or in cars or in something else, or in investing in war products who are leading in the next wars. This does, from a capitalistic point of view, that does no matter. And that's the reason behind this war.
But so from the perspective of each of these company heads that were at that table, I mean, they can't be stupid, or they wouldn't have risen to the position that they have, and they wouldn't be making money for their company. So they're not dumb. They read market analysis and all this kind of things that, that on a daily basis. It doesn't take a genius to obviously look at a map to see how the Russians are advancing, to look at the capabilities, how many men each side has, the defense industrial capacity, et cetera, to see that there is no path for the Ukraine side to even sustain itself without eventually dying. So then what is the motivation for a company to go in one of these economic forums when they can rationally understand there's not going to be a market in Ukraine in the future?
And this is the part of capitalist oligarchs who want to stop the war. And this is the part of the capitalistic oligarchs who support Donald Trump in trying to stop the war in Ukraine because this is a bad investment. But you have other parts in US economy and in European economy, especially in the military sector, which are making many money and lots of money in continuing the war. And this is a find behind the scene.
So is it the case to where a lot of these people, and now the defense contractors, I can understand that they may be saying, yeah, we'll just ride this pony until it collapses and falls apart, until Russians roll up the gates of Kiev, and we'll be making money up until that time, and then we'll just move on. I mean, is it as cynical as that?
It is cynical. You are delivering the bodies, we are delivering the weapons. It's a cynical position. And from this point of view, dead bodies don't care. They don't play any role. The profits play the main role. And that's the background of this war. From a human perspective, this war had been stopped. They had to stop this war in spring 2022. Yeah. And this is a war who could have been avoided so easily.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the year 2014. So step back, don't do that, this regime change coup on Maidan. It was just a group around Victoria Nuland, Jake Sullivan, and all these guys who wanted war. Let's try. Perhaps we will be successful. That's the position.
And that's certainly the way it worked out. And kind of unfortunately buttressing your view here is the what the U.S. did. So there was some information yesterday, came out, I think it was yesterday, that the U.S. is pausing and stopping its support of weapons, right? So the U.S. said we're not going to send any more 155 millimeter shells, air defense interceptors, Patriots, et cetera. The absolute requirements, the things that you need the most. But then in today's news, we see that Ukraine is striking out to getting the U.S. to send it more weapons. So it plans to try something new, asking Washington to let Europe purchase U.S. weapons for Ukraine. So it kind of looks like a little bit more cynical than it may have appeared at face value, that we weren't just stopping it, but we're now just saying, let's let someone else pay for it instead of us giving it away. How do you see that?
The decision of the Team Trump to stop most of the weapons shipping to Ukraine is not to bring Ukraine under pressure and to bring Ukraine into a peace process. The goal are the Europeans. Trump wants to force the European countries to deliver more weapons and to deliver faster their weapons to Ukraine. He wants to Europeanize this war. That's the goal. And he wants to bring the European so-called partners who are vassals under pressure. That's the background. Well, it's part of the game. The transatlantic split does not exist anymore. It's just a media myth. And it is very clear, and NATO Secretary General Rutte made it very clear in his letter to Donald Trump. Yes, sir, we do everything you want, sir. Everything is clear, sir. We will accelerate our weapons shipping, and we will pay much more money into the military space. So it was a letter of surrender. And well, normally I would say in a bar, it's an ass-kissing letter.